Hi guys, hi, it's Oyen. How are you? Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this question, but from a teaching point of view. So you have to sort of listen to it and sort of see where I'm going and use that to develop your answers. In fact, after reading Neve's answer, what I don't want in the exam at all is when I say I don't want too much when I say explanations, I really want your answer to be what I'm going to call technical. It's technical, and that's how I want to build this. Remember, this is a mock. It's for me, so it's about growth, and I want a technical answer. I don't want a business studies answer at all. Not interested. Yes, I want it. What's going on? I want a technical answer. And when I say a technical answer, it means you need to break down these numbers. That's what I want. A real breakdown of these numbers, right? To show you understand exactly what's going on. Right. So here's the question. I've put it here just in case you don't have your exam page. But I'll email the question, the exam booklet again, so you can have a look at it. So I'm going to teach a lot of things, but I'm going to focus first. This question is asking about liquidity. They could have been asking about a range of other things. They could have been asking about profitability, right? And 100% I'm looking for a breakdown, an understanding of the numbers, nothing else, right? So think of my 20 marks as Oyen wants a technical answer. What does that mean? I want you to explain to me what gross profit means. I want to explain to me what's going on. First of all, looking at Neve's work, Neve's read this like this way. And it's easily done. Because in your rush, it's difficult. But really, this is the scenario. It's going from 2014 to 2017. So I want you to literally explain why everything is going on across this board. And that's what you're studying for. And that's what we're building. Even if you don't thoroughly understand it right now, that's okay. It's about growing. Right. Okay, so let's focus on liquidity first, because that's what this question is about, right? But then we'll come over to here. I mean, there is of course a relationship with these guys, but let's focus on liquidity first. So here is how you answer any interpretation question. I've mentioned this before, but we will do it again. So I'm just going to open up another page, just as a working page. And the first thing you do for any ratio when you start talking about it is to define the ratio, right? You need to define the ratio. What does the ratio mean? So, when I say ratio, here they're looking for liquidity. Your focus seems to just be on the current ratio, but we know that's not entirely true. So this is like understanding of the big picture, right? When I say current ratio and liquid ratio. Now, maybe in your first year, you would have just stopped and just defined these two and thought that's where it ends, right? I'm done. No, because the ratios are connected. I tried my best to say that don't think of these as ratios. Just think of them as parts of a big picture. So yes, this may be the direct connection to talking about ratios. But first of all, here are the ratios that we typically talk about, including, if you like, a cash ratio that we don't talk about so much. And we need to analyze the numbers. So let's first of all talk about what this ratio, what your first task is to always define the ratio and be clear about the differences between the two and the connection. So you know what the current ratio is. It's the ratio of current assets to current liabilities. That's still a very open question, really. And you have to, yes, why not? What I want to see you do is define clearly what's involved in this idea of current assets versus current liabilities. So you're saying that when you say current assets, you mean inventory plus trade receivables plus bank and cash, if you like, right? And that's what you're really talking about, compared to current liabilities. And typically we're talking about trade payables. Right. So what I want you to almost do immediately is critique the fact that if a business can have a current ratio that looks like this 2-to-1, two businesses can have ratios 2-to-1, but can have completely different compositions of current assets. Of course they can, right? Because current assets are made up of three completely different ratios. So in effect, the reason why this ratio becomes slightly useless when I say slightly useless, slightly in terms of comparability, is we need to then look at another ratio, which refers to the which is called the acid test or the capital ratio, which seeks to exclude inventory and only focus on trade receivables and bank and cash compared to current liabilities. And that's what I want to see you define first of all. In fact, use an example. Use an example to explain the difference between these two. So for me, this is a test case. It's not about answering this question for the sake of getting the marks. It's about showing your understanding of what's going on here. I like this question. It's a great question. If I had known, I would have included talk about profitability as well, but I didn't in time. Great, and made it like a 30 marker or something. Okay, great. So that's the first thing that I want you to sort of do, to understand clearly the difference, or define those ratios. Right. Then the next thing I want you to do is to, if you like, say exactly what you see. What do you see after defining those ratios? So let's go back to the ratios. So what you see is a current ratio going from 2.4 to 2.1 to 1.5 to 1.2 to 1. So, I mean, what you could do first of all is, I mean, you could say that, when I say you could write out all the ratios again, but you don't have to, because you can just literally, it's there, it's given to you. You might have to, in another question, you might have to calculate these things. And if you had to, then, well, calculate first, right? So calculate what you see and find the ratios. Here you're given. So what I want you to do is, first of all, say what you see and describe the pattern. So what we see, what you're literally saying is, it has gone from 2.4 to 2.4 to 2.4 to 1 to 2 to 1 to 1.5 to 1 to 1.2 to 1. Right, now what you have working for you as well in this question is that the liquid capital ratio is also kind of moving in this kind of direction, which we'll talk about in a second, which is going from 1.9 to 1, if you like, all the way down, right, to 0.4 to 1. Now, this is a bit kind of GCSE, just saying it like this. What you need to then, what I want you to do, what I want to see in the exam, is I want you to show the percentage change from one year to the next. So, what does that mean? If the ratio falls from in 2014 to 2015, if it goes from 2.4 to 1 to 2 to 1, as in ratio 2 to 1, that means it's fallen by, well, 0.4, right? So it's 2.4 minus 2 is 0.4. It's fallen by, and as a percentage, we always take it as a percentage of the beginning of where it started, right? So it started off at 2.4. It's fallen to 2.1, so it's 0.4. Oops, sorry, I don't know what's going on. 0.4 divided by 2.4 times the fall, right? 0.4 times 2.4. And if you do that on your calculator, 0.4 divided by 2.4, yes, you will get 16%. You're saying that the current ratio has fallen by 16% from 2014 to 2015. And I want you to do exactly the same thing for 2015 to 2016. And that has gone, if you like, from 2 to 1 to 1.5 to 1. So it's fallen by 0.5. And we always divide it by where we started. So the skill I'm looking for is I want you to do that. That's kind of, it's gone from 2 to 1 to 1.5 to 1. So you're dividing the fall, yes, by the origin. You're really showing the fall in current ratio. And I need you, and what I want to see is, I literally want to see you do all of this in a box for the entire period. And then when you finish that, I want you to show what the overall fall is. I want you to show what the fall is from 2014 to 2017. So literally it has gone 2.4 to 1 all the way down to 1.2 to 1. This is being technical. So you're showing that fall, right? And then I want you to repeat this Repeat this process for the liquid capital ratio. Right. And then when you literally do that, now you have some data to we can start talking about, if you like, what's going on. Here's the other thing you then need to do, C, is you need to decide for yourself whether you consider this to be a decline. You need to find some adverbs to work with. There has been a decline. There has been a negative impact on the current ratios. We don't know why exactly, but we'll find out in a second. We'll discuss this. But this is the first thing that we want to do before we start even talking about in terms of critically analyzing this. So those are the first things that I want you to do. You need to do those numbers, and then finally describe. Well, when I put C here, you need to describe the pattern. Is it increasing, falling, if you like, overall? So you can do those individual falls, and then you want to say overall there has been a fall of whatever from 2014. You'll find that the current ratio from 2014 to 2017 has fallen by 50%, right? Because it's gone from 2.4 to 1.2 to 1. So that's a fall of 1.2 divided by where we started, 2.4. Be careful, it's always by where you started. Right, and so therefore there's been a fall of 50% in this scenario. There's been a fall of 50%. So I like doing these videos in blocks so that you don't get exhausted. So that's the first part of this video, and then we'll carry on from there. Okay.